We're going to talk pressure. When you switch from being a massage therapist to an osteopath, one of the hardest things to do is readjusting your pressure. It also has to do with the belief system behind exactly what it is that you're doing. This is one of the things that we're going to train you in. Take a look at this. So here we have our scales. So for an osteopathic technique, what we're going to take a look at here, and I've got this on the floor because if it's on a soft surface, you don't really get a proper accurate reading. So we're going to start with the lightest techniques and work our way up. The lightest technique you're going to do is almost an energy type technique for cranial, and it's very gentle. I'm at about 8 ounces of pressure. I'm going to go in a little bit and create a fascial glide, and that's at about a pound. I can put a pressure that I'm putting on there for that fascial glide. I can even go a little less. Sometimes my pull here is about 7 ounces of pressure. So most of the techniques are very light. The bone release is about 2 pounds of pressure. Sometimes I'll get as low as a pound and a half, but it's about 2 pounds of pressure for that bone release. So it's very, very light in the pressure that you're using. In fact, when I push down, even this is about 2 ounces of pressure. If I go a little bit further, that's about 4 ounces. I can usually feel their body pushing back up against me at about 4 ounces. It does not take very much pressure for me to feel the nerves saying, hey, what's going on here? Like I'm listening, I just don't know what to do yet. Now we're going to take a look at the scale because a massage trigger point can't, if I tried putting the amount of pressure that we put on trigger points on here, it actually airs out. So we're just going to use this guy, the average elbow technique. I don't know if you can see where that is. I'll come down about here. Okay, I'm going to go in, and that is reading about 27 pounds of pressure. There are some cases where someone's like, let's go harder, let's go harder. That's about 34 pounds of pressure. Now let's take a look at the myotool machine. The myotool machine is a really cool little piece of technology that is being used more just for research purposes, but it shows exactly what I feel when I teach tissue melting. So I'm going to show this to you now. I'm just going to fast forward because we don't need the whole thing and I don't need sound. So what they do is they use this machine to test the amount of tone that's in the muscles. So they're using this for different types of therapy, different types of all kinds of different things they're using it for. So what they're doing is they're just applying pressure onto the tissue. And then when it comes back, they're reading the amount of force that the body gives back. So we call this an oscillation. Now, can you see how it goes back? It goes bang, bang, bang back. That is what I teach you how to feel in tissue melting. That can pretty much only be done in an osteopathic technique. So you can see this little white line right in here. That's the pressure coming back up into the tissues. And that's what we feel. They did not put very much pressure down on the tissues. It's a very gentle amount. This is ounces of pressure. Could you imagine what the body is like when you put 30 pounds of pressure on the body? If you pay attention, you'll notice when they put that pressure down, it goes all the way down to the bone and back. That's really important to make note of because all too often we're digging our elbows in thinking, I got to go deep, I got to go deeper. No, you're not going deeper. You're applying more pressure. There's a difference. Deep pressure, digging in, putting 30 pounds of pressure on your client is not actually deep relief. It feels like it at the time, but it actually is causing more harm than it is good. They do not teach you this in massage school. What's actually happening is the body has a built-in defense mechanism that pushes back. This is in response to the nervous system, fascia, and the muscle fibers. So now let's break that down a little bit simpler. Basically, the muscles have these tiny little muscle spindles and they detect stretch and pressure. But if you put too much force, the spindles fire off signals to the spinal cord. The body interprets that as a threat, a tear, an injury, and it contracts against the force. This is why hitting harder often feels like you're like hitting a wall, because the muscle tightens, it resists, and it becomes really, really sore afterwards. This is also called the stretch reflex or sometimes muscle guarding. So when you are using 25 pounds of pressure, this triggers a guarding reflex and not an actual relaxation. So when you are pushing hard on those trigger points, instead of getting a relaxing effect, the muscle locks down to protect itself. Blood flow can actually be decreased, nerve signals are heightened, and then the client feels pain or tension. Now, what does happen is because the body thinks that it's in trauma, it releases natural endorphins and it shuts it down. So the theory is with a trigger point is you push in to force a stretch of the tissue to force blood flow in. But that has to be done a very specific way to actually work to get long-term results. This is why you go in, you work on the trigger points, you come back a month later, because the moment you use that muscle again, bang, it's right back. That's why we also do different kind of exercises, and there's a whole bunch of other things that go with that we do train you on, or that you may already know as a therapist. So this is why osteopaths will say the body meets you where you are. We listen. So when we teach you how to apply that pressure or just a little bit of pressure, we're feeling the mechanical receptors coming back. Then we meet it a little bit more. And we wait. Maybe we meet it a bit more, meet it a bit more, meet it a bit more. Because the longer you hold on to that spot, it will still eventually send off all of these signals, but it does it in a safe way. Yes, sometimes it takes a little bit longer to release than just sticking your elbow in somebody, but you actually get a better response in the fascia, because remember, fascia can go from a solid to a liquid. It's called thixotropy. And so what happens is the moment you push on it, it pushes back and the fascia actually tightens up. That's why sometimes warming it up a little bit does help substantially, because you warm up that fascia. But what we teach you to do is we teach you how to melt it. We teach you to slowly elongate it, because under heavy pressure, it rebounds. And when you press too hard on it, it's like it comes back like a trampoline. So essentially, what we don't want to do is go really deep, trigger the fight or flight response. We want to work within the system to trigger the parasympathetic nervous system while at the same time releasing those trigger points. It's a little bit of a fine-tuning change in the way that you're working, but it is very much an osteopathic type of a feel and an osteopathic type of work. But we teach you how to blend that into your current treatment so you can be a master at releasing trigger points without hurting your body and without hurting your clients.